Hello guys, this is a very spontaneous video that I wanted to make because I was checking on social media, especially on Facebook, and I found journalist Jan Bremer. He's a famous journalist. He posted a picture of Obama, George Bush and Bill Clinton all together, and he captioned the photo saying, "A gathering of all living former two-term presidents." So of course he's trying to mock the orange man, Donald Trump. However, I posted a comment under the photo, which got a lot of attention. I said, "I see war criminals who have killed hundreds of thousands of people in the Middle East and North Africa." So any objective observer or any journalist, any researcher, any person with like minimum level of sanity or logic or ability to just Google, any person. If you want to go to Google, you will find that these three presidents, they have killed or they participated in the killing of hundreds of thousands of people in the Middle East and North Africa. I mean, some people agreed with me, others were like, "Oh, you have to see the bigger picture." This really irritates me because what's the bigger picture? Please tell me what's the bigger picture. George Bush, in 2003, he lied. His administration lied on the entire world, including in the UN Security Council, and he convinced the people, his people, and through the media, through indoctrination, through lies, deception, fake news, that Iraq has weapons of mass destruction, and they are seconds away or minutes away from attacking American troops or British troops or whatever. So they prepared the people for such a war, which killed up to now 1 million people, 1 million Iraqis, because the war which started in 2003 has never ended. It's still ongoing. Only today, a terrorist attack happened in Iraq, killing at least 20 people, 20 civilians. Just imagine you're living in Washington, D.C., and a car bomb or someone comes and explodes himself on like weekly basis or monthly basis. Please give me this, like put this argument aside and tell me how many terrorist attacks happened in Iraq before 2003. I'm waiting. You will not find terrorist attacks because there was a strong state and strong state institutions and security. I'm not defending Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein was, in my opinion, the most, like a person who is an ignorant in geopolitics and balance of power. First of all, Saddam Hussein was backed by the CIA when he ascended to power in order to fight Iran. Because in '79, there was a revolution, Islamic revolution happened in Iran by Al-Khomeini, who was anti-American, and he overthrew a pro-American puppet called a Shah. So Americans were like, let's go to business and let's support an egoistic person like Saddam Hussein and give him chemical weapons in order to attack Iran and later the Kurds in northern Iraq. And later, when Saddam Hussein felt that he's strong enough, he invaded Kuwait and he turned against his allies, including the Americans. So the Americans bombed the hell out of him in the 90s and then imposed killing sanctions that pushed the people into starvation and killed 500,000 children in Iraq. So tell me more about this full picture that I have to see. Look, I come from the Middle East. Actually, my parents or grandparents are survivors of the Armenian genocide, and I was born and raised in Aleppo, Syria, northern Syria. So I'm technically from the Middle East. Tell me more about the full picture when Obama in 2011 decided to, through a CIA program, to vet and train and arm radical jihadists in Syria. Why did he do that? In order to overthrow his enemy, who is Bashar al-Assad. So, again, we know that we have a lot of troubles in the Middle East, and we have to work harder in order to eradicate radicalism. But what the Americans are doing in the region, it doesn't help the Middle Eastern people at all. It increases radicalism, because when you create a war and mayhem and push people into starvation and unemployment, then radical terrorist groups will come and attract these people. They will invite them to join these radical groups. And in my opinion, this is not a failure of an American foreign policy. In the contrary, in my opinion, this is they do it on purpose. They do it on purpose. Oh, see the full picture. Please tell me more about Afghanistan. Before '79, Afghanistan was a civil state. It was a modern state. Women were wearing miniskirts. I'm not talking about just the dress code, you know. It was like people were much more progressive, like 10 times more progressive, and very secular, and they have civil codes, laws, and etc. What did the Americans do to Brzezinski and others? They supported and funded and armed and trained the Mujahideen. They called them the Arab Mujahideen. And they invited them from all around the world into Afghanistan, first into Pakistan and then into Afghanistan, in order to fight the Soviet Union. So the Americans found in these radical groups a geopolitical weapon against a government or its enemies, such as the Soviet Union in the 70s and 80s, and then used the same terrorists, the same ideology, the Muslim Brotherhood, against Hafez al-Assad in Syria, and now use them again against Syria, against Bashar al-Assad. So I'm really, it strikes me a lot to see this ignorance, because you are one click away from the truth. Google. If you Google it, you will find the truth. In 2012, the defense intelligence, military defense intelligence of the United States warned Barack Obama that the active forces against President Bashar al-Assad are Al-Qaeda forces, and he didn't mind to support them. They sent weapons and arms and training to the so-called moderate rebels, which it exists only in media and in the imagination of some politicians. And these weapons and ammunition were transferred to the radicals, to Al-Nusra Front, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, etc. I mean, I lived my entire life in Syria, and until 2011, the number of terrorist attacks in Syria, as far as I remember, was 0. What's happening now? I'm not saying we are perfect. We're not. We have a lot of troubles in the Middle East. But please, interventions of the United States is just deteriorating the situation and pushing the people into starvation and radicalism. Today I saw a picture, or yesterday actually, I saw a picture of a Syrian kid near an oil refinery in eastern Syria, and he's collecting food from the trash. You would not find a single person in Syria before 2011 who eats from trash. And these oil refineries are now occupied by the American occupation forces. What the hell? I mean, you're occupying 50% of our oil and gas resources. You're occupying our wheat, and then you're blaming us. It's really crazy. I can't really understand these people. So one of them posted in the comments saying, if you do 9/11, then of course we will kick your ass. Are you? I mean, do you have an internet at home? Do you know that the Syrians didn't bomb 9/11? Do you know that those who committed 9/11 are nationals of a country that is an ally with the United States, and the United States never attacked Saudi Arabia, but rather attacked Afghanistan, Pakistan, Somalia, Syria, etc., etc.? Think about it. Oh, and now, all of a sudden, Joe Biden came to power, and people are crying on social media because finally fascism has been defeated in the United States. I mean, For decades, the United States its foreign policy is based on fascism. And this foreign policy, I mean, you need to understand that the United States is an empire. And when you are an empire, you need to exercise your power. So you have to resort either to soft power or hard power. And what Bill Clinton did, George Bush did, and Obama did, they used hard power. They fucked the people of the Middle East and North Africa. And when as my friends calls him, the orange Cheetos, when he came to power, he promised that he will stop the wars. I mean, technically he didn't start any war, but he continued the wars that his predecessors started. And what Trump did, he stopped the CIA funding to the radical jihadists in Syria, but instead he diverted the funding to other groups called the so-called Syrian Democratic Forces and their separatist forces in northeastern Syria. And what he did, he occupied the oil refineries of Syria. What he did, he burned the wheat of Syria. He starved the people. He imposed draconian sanctions on the Syrians. Syrians are now standing queues, kilometers, to fill like for fuel for their cars, for bread, etc. Before 2011, Syria used to export oil and wheat. What happened now? People are starving because of these sanctions. Madeleine Albright, this former foreign minister under Clinton, when she was asked that 500,000 children died in Iraq due to the American sanctions, I mean, was it worth it? And she said, yes. This is your politicians. So please stop acting as if all of a sudden Trump brought fascism to the United States. No. The United States is an empire and it's exercising its powers on the entire world in order to keep its hegemony. And since China and Russia are increasing their powers now around the world, then the United States has to increase its military, financial, and political capabilities in order to cope with the rivalries. It really annoys me, irritates me to see all these people celebrating Biden's inauguration and his appointment. I mean, he's a warmonger, maniac. He's a war criminal. He participated with Obama in all this mayhem in the Middle East or North Africa. He voted for every single fucking war in the region. So please stop acting as if you defeated fascism, because you replaced a fascist with another fascist. And you really need to know this information from someone who is a Syrian of Armenian origins, a Christian. I was born in a Christian family, and the foreign policy of the United States has ruined our lives, our businesses, and our future.